Just wanted to give you an update quickly on where we're at with the investigation for the fire at 1943 Junction Road on the 18th of this month. Autopsies were completed today. We have some preliminary results. Of course, the final results will take time for the medical examiner to complete, and their reports will be issued. So if you want autopsy reports, you'll have to do that through the medical examiner's office. So the victims, or the adult victims, are Ashton Brown. She was 26 years old. And Aschod Meeks, he was 26 years old. They had 2 children together. They were also victims. That would be Bella Ewing Meeks. She was 4 years old. Bricks Ewing Meeks was 8 months old.
November 14th, 1995. The world would make way for Ashton Brown. She would be born to her mother Christina, who would later marry a guy who goes by the name of Thomas Stuckey, and together they would raise Ashton. Ashton was born and raised in Davie County, located in North Carolina. Davie County is a place with a strong agricultural heritage, mainly known for its dairy industry. Growing up, Ashton was someone who was bright and cheery, someone who loved school and enjoyed learning. She was what people call a true friend, someone you could count on. Like her stepfather, who was an avid sports lover, she too grew fond of this. She played basketball in her early years, but would later transition to softball. While in school, she was a phenomenal student. She got good grades and garnered the attention of others through her bubbly personality. In the year of 2013, she would graduate from high school with honors and embark on her journey of adulthood. After high school, she would head off to Shaw University, which is located in Raleigh, North Carolina. While here, she would meet a guy who goes by the name of Aschod Meeks-Ewing. Aschod too was athletic. He played on the football team, while Ashton was on the softball team. They would immediately grow fond of each other, and before you know it, love would blossom. They would date for a period of time before finding out in the year of 2017 that Ashton was pregnant and about to welcome a daughter into this world. They would bring forth this child in November of 2017, a baby girl that they would name Bella. Not long after her birth, the family would make a transition back to Davie County. While here, they could be close to family and friends. Ashton is now experiencing a new part of life, a part of life called motherhood. And for her, she loved being a mom. Under an umbrella of love, Bella would blossom. She was sweet, energetic, and brought a newfound joy to her parents. By the year of 2022, Ashton Brown would be 26, going on 27, while her boyfriend Aschod was also 26. For little baby Bella, she's now turned 4, but now there's an addition to the family. They had recently given birth to a baby boy whom they would name Bricks. For Ashton, life seemed to be going great, but underneath the smiles, a struggle was occurring, a problem that would eventually boil over. And when it was all said and done, no amount of scrubbing could remove the stain. April 18th, 2022. On this day, Aschod Meeks would show up to the Davie County Sheriff's Office. Here, he would be accompanied by his girlfriend, Ashton Brown, and their 2 children. At the time, Aschod is requesting to speak to an officer. When asked why he wanted to speak to an officer, he was very vague. He didn't really give the reason. At the time, he's speaking to the receptionist, who in return basically just took their information. In the video, Aschod can be seen approaching the window, while Ashton remained by the door. Eventually, Ashton would make her way over to the receptionist, and she would give them their information. But while she was giving the information, she gave the address of her mother's home. The receptionist, in return, gives them a phone number to call, and at 12:15 p.m., they leave. Roughly 20 minutes after leaving, Ashton Brown would call that number.
Hi, how do you call in to speak with a deputy or anything?
You need to speak with a deputy?
Yes, please.
Okay, and what is your name? I just need a little bit of information. What's your
Oh,
name?
Ashton Brown. Ashton Brown.
And what do you need to speak with an officer about?
I'm just needing to speak with them, about a safety reason.
Okay, from what address?
What did you say?
What address is it occurring at? They're still going to call you,
Oh.
but we have to know that to be able to dispatch the correct officer.
Oh, you're gonna dispatch him?
No, he can call you. I just need to know where the
Oh, okay, okay.
place
Oh,
is. What do you need to speak with him about? Tell me exactly what's going on there.
well, I'm calling for my fiance, so we're
okay.
both trying to speak with them.
That's okay. What's it about? What, if I need to give him a reference. Can I speak with your fiance? Or I just need a small reference to give them because they're going to ask what it's in reference to. Is Brown?
Yes, it's really just safety precautions. That's it.
Reference safety precautions?
Yes.
Okay. That's good. Okay. We'll go ahead and get an officer to give you a call, okay?
Thank you.
They wouldn't call back for an additional 10 minutes. Ashton Brown answers the phone, and she repeats once again that she has a safety concern. But after 32 seconds, the call would abruptly drop. Between 12:46 p.m. and 1:07 p.m., an additional 5 calls would be made, but every call thereafter would be answered by Aschod. In the calls, he's acting strange. He's telling the officers that someone was following him, but he didn't feel in danger. Another thing strange is he wouldn't stay on the phone long. He would stay on for a period of 55 seconds and then hang up. The longest call was 6 minutes, and during that call, the officer would tell Aschod, "Come back down to the station. Let's talk it out here." But Aschod declines. Despite the suspicious behavior, an officer doesn't go to their home. After attempting to reach them one more time and the phone going to voicemail, they let it go. That was it. At least that's what they thought.
At 2 o'clock, we have a witness that sees them at their residence at 1943 Junction Road. They're in the yard, some type of verbal disagreement or argument, according to the witness. He sees them go in the house, and he leaves his residence to go about his business. A passerby driving down Junction Road sees smoke from the house. They drive to the Coolmey Fire Department and report that the house is on fire. So there's no call there, there's no 911 call for that. Coolmey Fire Department tells communications they're responding. That occurred at 2:14 p.m. At 2:17, the fire department is on scene and beginning fire operations.
The firefighters show up and they extinguish the blaze. Once the home was safe to go in, when they got inside, they were in for a shock. Scattered in separate areas of the home were the bodies of 4 people. At first glance, they thought maybe it was smoke inhalation, but due to them being spread out, it looked more sinister. After taking a closer look, they came to realize that they were suffering from wounds that could only be dealt by a firearm. The authorities come in, tape off the scene, and get to work. They would later be identified as 26-year-old Aschod Meeks-Ewing, 26-year-old Ashton Brown, 4-year-old Bella, and 8-month-old Briggs. It wouldn't take long to solve the case. After careful analysis, they would come to the conclusion that Aschod Meeks-Ewing had fired at his family. After claiming their lives, he dealt one more blow, one that was self-inflicted.
All 4 victims are deceased from gunshot wounds. The fire was intentionally set, and we found the gun that matches all of this actually still in Mr. Meeks' hand. I don't have any further information to release. That's the sum of it, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
The next question would be, what would cause Aschod to do this? to take not only his family, but himself. By now, the investigators have learned about the phone calls. They learned about them showing up to the station. And now the elephant in the room is why they never showed up. The truth is that on that day, Ashton Brown and her 2 children were failed multiple times. The first slip was them showing up to the police station and requesting to speak to an officer, only to be given a number and told to call that. Ashton Brown calls that number and she speaks to an officer. The call then abruptly ends out of nowhere. Now I want to be clear. This phone was in fact the phone of Ashton Brown, but when that officer called back 5 more times, the phone call was answered by Aschod. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were speaking to a female, that call abruptly ends, and then when you call back, her boyfriend answers. Isn't that enough to at least send a squad car to the home? Well, I guess not. The officer sees that something's off. That's the reason why he called a total of 6 times.
The officer calls her back at 12:47. The officer calls back at 12:49. The officer calls them back again at 12:54. The officer calls back at 1:06. The call goes to voicemail. The officer calls back at 1:07 and the call goes to a voicemail.
But the phone eventually starts going to voicemail. And even then, it's not enough to send out a squad car. But to add insult to injury, they said that Ashton Brown was very vague in her description.
They were very vague about what they wanted.
When she wasn't. She told you what the problem was. She was citing safety concerns.
What do you need to speak with an officer about?
I'm just needing to speak with them about a safety reason.
What do you need to speak with him about? Tell me exactly what's going on there.
Well, I'm calling for my fiance, so we're both trying to speak with them.
I guess it never occurred to you that she couldn't say what, because Aschod was standing right there. Well, the authorities finally went to that home. Not because they were worried about safety concerns, but rather they were responding to a fire. I have to be honest, the authorities completely failed in this matter. There was smoke coming from that home way before a fire was even set, and the outcome was 4 separate people losing their lives. Lives that could have been saved.
It's very clear to everybody that the ball was dropped. So we want to know, why was that ball dropped? How was it dropped? Who dropped it?
Ewing Meeks' mother also wants answers as to what happened with her son.
He was screaming out for help without the sound. Just being there, because the thoughts that he had obviously taken over, and he was trying to get assistance. No one went to the house. 6 dropped calls. No one went to the house. The address was given. Her mom's address was given. And again, nobody showed up. If one officer or one receptionist had taken the time to listen or call an officer off the street.
That's right.
For a whole entire family, I would be able to go to sleep. I would be able to eat. Her mom wouldn't be suffering the losses that I am suffering. Her family is suffering the same entire loss that I am suffering.
Both mothers had their families ripped apart and want to know why.
It's just hard not seeing and talking to her. She was just amazing.
Christina Stuckey is devastated.
I FaceTimed with them every day, or I saw them every day. So it's hard not doing that now.
Her daughter, Ashton Brown, along with her 2 children, Bella and Brix, were killed in April.
She was a teacher. And most importantly, she was a mama that loved her babies. They were her everything.
In the end, Aschod would be the one to end it all. But by all accounts, He was a loving father, a devoted husband, but he struggled with things. Aschod's mother would say that on that day that it occurred, there were a few red flags, such as Aschod being terrified of the authorities. And the fact that he went to the police station was telling in itself. Aschod was someone who struggled with mental disability. Throughout the years of playing ball, he would be injured and experience CTE, which is basically a brain disease that's caused by multiple head traumas. No one will ever know what was truly going through his mind that day, aside what he told the police that he thought someone was after him. The truth is that he struggled with things, and mental health is nothing to play with. He isn't the only one with CTE to carry out this type of act. There was Dave Beer, who was a BMX rider. There was also Aaron Hernandez, and we all know what happened to him. There's also wrestler Chris Benoit, who too also took his family with him. We all know that they carried out these acts themselves, but in the end, they all suffered with a mental disorder. So who's truly at fault?
I guess sometimes the price of entertainment is their sanity. This story is all around tragic and heartbreaking, but this was a tragedy that could have been prevented. It's all around sad. Ashton Brown, 26. Aschod Meeks-Ewing, 26. Bella, 4. And baby Bricks, who is 8 months old. Rest in peace. Normally this is the part when I say, thank you for being a light for others, and that I hope you get the justice you deserve. But for them, justice is too late. The only way to fix this is by turning back the hands of time, and we all know that's impossible.